you've lived in a handful of different places. You've done creative things at all of them. What makes Rochester such a great place for artists to thrive and a great place to create original art?
Well, we live as, who said this on Seinfeld? We live in a society. We live in a society. Yeah, you can't escape the fact that like you got to pay your bills. Yeah. And the great thing about Rochester is that it makes for a nice home base because it's pretty affordable, without feeling so remote. There's enough culture here that enough culture here that you don't feel like you're living in a rural backwoods town. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like, it does seem like most artists are need that kind of stimulation that like a little bit more of a diverse population provides. And so Rochester's nice because it's affordable. You get a little bit, just enough of that like city life, but it's not such city life that you're like breaking your back every day trying just to like not like go bankrupt and go broke. It's close enough. I mean, I guess it's close enough to a few bigger cities too that like you can hop on a bus or a train or get in your car and have a day of driving and be somewhere that's like a bigger metropolis. On top of that, Rochester has that. There is like a lot of art. There are a lot of artists here. There are a lot of musicians here, and a lot of people who want to express themselves here.
If you could accomplish one thing in your comic book career and be happy knowing you accomplished it, and you could just hang up your coat and call it a day, what would it be?
Well, Dan, I don't want to hang up my coat and call it a day. I think this is a really good question, actually. No, I mean, actually sounds like demeaning. Like, you actually asked a good question.
No, I literally have spent years crafting these.
No. That's a really great question because I think that to really thrive as a creator, or maybe in life, you need to have a balance between a love, or a balance between those goals that are like pulling you forward towards the horizon, and then a love of the process that's pushing you forward without really worrying about the goal that you're working towards, right? So like when I'm working, I call it like time travel. I sit down on my drawing table and I lose like 4 hours. And I'm like, whoa. And I kind of have to be careful. I have to set like alarms and stuff like that because it's like I'm gone. And I love the process of this, right? At the same time, if there's no payoff at the end of that process, it can really grind you down. So like, I also need that payoff, whatever that is, at the end of the process. Part of the payoff is just finishing and having the sense of accomplishment that comes with completing something that like took a year, 2 years to do. But part of it is also this process of like publishing. Like if I'm lucky enough to have works that are seeing the light of day and reaching the public, and that's a real gratifying, satisfying moment as well. And so like, if I didn't love the process, the payoff, it wouldn't be worth it. And if I didn't have some sort of satisfying payoff at the end, the process would eventually grind me down.
All right, one more thing for you. This is kind of given the conversation we just had, this might be a weird one to ask.
It's okay.
Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Yeah, totally. Yes. Be fearless. Take risks. make stuff, make art. With regards to comics, like make comics and get them out there. Specifically with comics, beyond that, don't start with a 250-page book. Start with something small, because your first like 100 to 300 pages will show a tremendous growth. And so if you start with a 300-page book, page 1 will be terrible by the time you get to page 300, and then you have this like kind of Star Wars situation where you might want to go back and like George Lucas, the first chapter, and add like special effect bantha, whatever. We don't want to do that. We want to have integrity. So you so make like take but and then the biggest piece of advice I could probably give is that make art for yourself. Make art make the thing that you want to see. Make the thing that you think is missing in the world. Don't worry about market research. Like, just make the stuff that you want to see, with the hopes that you're relatable enough that other people will want to see it too. And frankly, like, the world is becoming more and more driven by niche markets anyway, right? Like Star Wars used to be like not Star Wars, but like sci-fi used to be like a niche thing. Comic books used to be an extremely niche thing. Comic books, superhero stories used to be super niche, and now it's the most mainstream thing that you can imagine. Even in music, like, you look at someone like Jason Isbell, right? Here's a dude who, he's not like a household name. His stardom isn't like meteoric. He's not like selling out Madison Square Garden. And yet, he's like, I would say he's extremely successful as an artist. And he's making music that's relevant, and some people think it's good. Sometimes I do too. And you wonder, like, in the days of like mega art, mega stars, and mega stardom, the fact that a cat like him, who's making a niche product, can have a thriving career and be relevant and important, is awesome. So yeah, man, that's it. Make art, make meaningful art, make stuff that you would like, that you want to see.